E mua ona o whaatalo whaatu Samoa i opa ia I le nei pō. Ai ole a ole toe tailingia tu la whanā I opa ia mau sā. I le sau mai saua se ia pa ia ngalenga awa o oe o le ao mamala. O au sā mau whainga, nuu atu ia, whaatini o tau sala. Tulou lava. Tulou na loa fionga le ao mamalo le malo malo masiofo. Tai ngane loa fionga le sui ao malo faletua. A fio loa fionga tama ita I palemia loa fionga fia me Naomi mataafa. Ma le mamalu o le kapeneta. A fionga fonga fetalai ma le palemene o Samoa. A fionga le whaamasino sili ma le mamalo le whaamasinonga. O te whaatalo whapitoa I le au whaingaruenga pa ia le atua. Sunga whaawhiangainga o loo lato no manuina ni manuia au wā Samoa moa tai ao. O te whaatalo whapitoa atu foi I a fionga I whaamasino ma lato ngā luenga whito I tonu I le nei pō. Au wā o le sā ininga o se tausala Samoa mo le nei tausanga. Ai mai se lava le mamalu wa o fia ma potopoto I le nei pō. E whaapito o ngawhas whawhetai I loa fionga le minister le pūlenga o tangata ta whao mai mua mai. Laua fionga toi sulu Cedric Schuster. Whaapea loa fionga le ofisa Cecilia le pūlenga lau sunga pativaine pe taia te vita ma le mamalu le pūlenga. Tālofa lava. Whaptai le atua ona o lupe sa vao ese. A ua fui whaatasi. E ui sa tātou valavala ona whaamai sa awhia ai le lalolangi ma tailingia ai lo o tausoifua ma lo mātou wola. A o le nei, ua lo whangia le atua. O sa vini. Whaapunua manu ai le fia. Ma le oli e pei o la le tusi, o le wha moe, o tau nuu, o le la au, o le ola lea. Pi ia le atua. A vea ia le nei a vanota ua o maua, e wa mole atua I le anganga whawhetai, ma le wha malo, I le tātou atu nuu I la o tau lango, mo le nei tolu tausanga sa au na atua I le atu nuu ma le Pasifika. O le nei, o sina nei le ngalu, ma ua ite whanua lalo I le savalinga I le nei tausanga I tiute sa whenga iai. E langona lo fia ma lo tele. Awa ana lese anoa la o tau tatalo, ma la o tau lango, e le mawhai ona o whaatau uina nei tiute te tonu tātou atunuu ai maise le Pasifika. Pei tai Samoa e lo atunuu pele, o upua le atunuu, e poto le tautai ai se lana atu. E matua le tuu ia te oe Samoa, e maangalo ai se au nanga whaatau waa, a le tausala. This past week I had the opportunity to attend all the events hosted by Manaia Events for our Miss Samoa contestants. As I interacted with all our contestants and observed them take each day as it came with enthusiasm, I couldn't help but feel an immense sense of emotion thinking back to how I was in their shoes 3 years ago. The overarching nerves, anxiety, and excitement they must be feeling is all too familiar. But in saying that, ladies, take a breather and enjoy this moment because needless to say, it is a moment of a lifetime. A lot can be said about the Miss Samoa Pageant and what it encompasses. At its core, it has been a platform that has allowed young women like myself to serve and give back to our Samoan community. When I was vying for the Miss Samoa crown 3 years ago as the Miss Samoa New Zealand, truth be told, I had no expectation of winning it. If anything, as Miss Samoa New Zealand, I felt content in holding that one title and serving my Samoan community back in New Zealand. However, in the first couple of days of the pageant week, it dawned on me how much more I could offer in my own homeland if I were to attain the Miss Samoa crown, I was compelled to do as much as I can to win the crown, and fortunately, my efforts succeeded in my attainment of it. After being crowned Miss Samoa in December that year, I was off to Papua New Guinea with the Manaya events team to vie for the Miss Pacific Islands crown. During the Miss PI pageant, my heart was heavy after hearing the news of the death of many young children back home because of the measles virus. Not long after, our government declared an outbreak of the virus in our beautiful Samoa. I went throughout the week, the pageant week, yearning to be back home, to be with my people, and to help where I could with this outbreak. It was a time where I felt the most helpless in my reign. I knew that if there was any way that I can bring some glimmer of joy and upliftment to my beautiful Samoa, it was ultimately to try and win the Miss PI crown for our people. With the help of Manaya Events Committee and the support from back home, I was successful in doing just that. Thank you for that. Immediately after the pageant, our committee booked the first flight back to Samoa, ready to fulfill my duties and commitment to serve my people. In our first week of arriving, I joined the mass vaccination campaign and was fortunate to use my nursing background to administer vaccination to our people and our young children. And in the scope of 2 days, we as a country were able to band together and vaccinate over 95% of the population. Thank you. And just as the measles outbreak in Samoa had come to an end, not long after, an even bigger outbreak came into fruition, the COVID-19 global pandemic. Who would have known that having a Miss Samoa and Miss Pacific Islands who was a registered nurse would be exactly what this platform needed at the time? Thank you. And saying that, I've always been a strong believer that God puts us in places for a reason, and me winning the Miss Samoa and Miss Pacific Islands crown felt like a purpose being fulfilled by God. With the pandemic canceling my traveling plans across the Pacific that I was supposed to get as Miss Pacific Islands, I was able to fully immerse myself in serving my homeland during my reign. I was able to volunteer my services as a nurse with the Ministry of Health, whilst at the same time being an ambassador for the Samoan Tourism Authority. I wouldn't have been able to do this without the support of STA, Samoa Tourism Authority. So I'd like to take this time to acknowledge the former Minister of Tourism, Afionga Salah Fatsapinati, and former CEO, Matuainu Suifua, for granting me that exemption to be able to work with the Ministry of Health. This platform has opened an array of opportunities that has fostered in me a greater love for our culture, our customs, and especially our people. It has been a unique reign that came with many unexpected twists, including it lasting for 3 years. With all that has been said, the only thing left to say is my thank you to a number of people. To the Samoa Tourism Authority, thank you for holding this platform that has allowed me to influence the lives of our younger people. I have learned so much about the tourism sector and the value that it brings to our country. I'd like to acknowledge my friends and the people who made the learning experiences fun. We've got Chichi at the back, Hezid, who's now with Manu Samoa, and Kitiona, who's hiding somewhere. To the Director of Manaya Events, Jerry Brantz, Leia Taua, Jerry Brantz, and the Manaya Events Committee, thank you for taking me under your wings 3 years ago. You've each played an important role in guiding me through this season. I stepped into the pageant world knowing very little about pageants, and now I take forward with me a wealth of knowledge and understanding of the hours of hard work that goes behind the scenes to run an event in this capacity. I wish to give a special acknowledgement to two of the hardest workers that I know who are also part of this committee, Jackie from Jackie's Beauty Creations and Beata from Beata's Salon. Many of you may know these women already. Now, these two were the older sisters and became the family that I never knew I needed here in Samoa. Jackie and Beata, thank you for nurturing me, for loving me, and supporting me the way that you both did. I could not have carried this crown without you guys by my side. To my family, my friends, and my beautiful Samoa, thank you for your unconditional love and support. These crowns could not have been earned and carried without the moral, mental, and emotional support you all provided throughout this journey. Your unwavering support does not go unseen, so I thank you. And last but definitely not least, I'd like to acknowledge my parents, my father, Reverend Seumanu, Lemi Seumanu, and my mom, Nancy Seumanu. Not many people know this, but at the time that I'd won the Miss Samoa Pageant, my parents were pastoring a church in Bango. And so, because I had to move to Samoa to live for a year, my parents had to move back to New Zealand to take care of the children that I was looking after at the time. They sacrificed so much, and even when COVID had hit and I had to move back on my own, my dad packed his bags and accompanied me on my journey so that I wouldn't be homesick. He's here today if we can give him a round of applause. As I stand before you all in my final address as your Miss Samoa, I can only hope that I have served you well and have done justice to this title and this reign. It has been nothing short of an honor to have been your Miss Samoa for these past 3 years. And to the next successor of this crown, may you continue to uphold the same legacy that has come from all previous holders of this title and continue to use your reign to serve our people with dignity, passion, and love. Whakatai lava. Would like to end with a song, as I usually do. A face vai